Good morning and welcome to the November 10th meeting of the North Jersey Transportation Planning Authority Board of Trustees. I'm filling in for our Chair, Commissioner Kelly, today, who could not be here. Very happy to welcome everyone and thank you all for attending today's meeting. I also want to thank New Jersey Transit President and CEO Chris Calori for joining us and as our featured guest speaker today. Before we start, I want to remind everyone around the board that the microphones above are sensitive and that this meeting is being recorded. Now to get started, I'll ask Denise to read the Open Public Meetings Act. Denise?
Good morning, everyone. This is to advise that, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been forwarded to the Newark Star Ledger, the Asbury Park Press, the Courier News, the Daily Record, the Home News Tribune, the New Jersey Herald, and posted in the Essex County Hall of Records in Newark.
All right, thank you. If you'd all rise and for a pledge of allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Denise, would you please take the roll?
Bergen County,
Here.
Essex County,
Here.
Hudson County,
Here.
Hunterdon County, here. Jersey City,
Here.
Middlesex County,
Here.
Monmouth County,
Here.
Morris County,
Here.
City of Newark, present. Ocean County,
Here.
Passaic County,
Here.
Somerset County, here. Sussex County,
Here.
Union County, here. Warren County,
Here.
Governor's Authorities Unit,
Here.
Department of Transportation,
Here.
NJ Transit,
Here.
Port Authority,
Here.
Citizens Representative. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Denise. Next is approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections, additions, or deletions to the minutes of the September 8th board meeting?
Morris will move the minutes as submitted.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Union seconds.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Ocean County abstains.
Thank you. Moving on to the chair's remarks, I want to start by recognizing that New Jersey has a new governor-elect, Mikey Sherrill. NJTPA stands ready to work with her administration to continue our efforts to improve transportation for our region's residents and visitors. Today not only marks our last board meeting of the year, it also is the last meeting for two members of our executive committee. Our chair, John P. Kelly, who could not be here today, and our third vice chair, Betty Jane Kowalski. Commissioner Kelly and Kowalski did not seek re-election and therefore will no longer be representing their counties on our board when we reorganize in January. So I want to start by saying thank you to both of them for their years of service to this board and highlighting some of the things we've been able to accomplish. While we all bring local perspectives and priorities to this board, one of our greatest strengths is the ability to work together across counties, cities, and political lines to plan, invest, and advance significant projects that affect us all and strengthen our entire region. As you know, our last meeting, we adopted an updated long-range transportation plan called Connecting Communities to guide the future of transportation, planning, and investment in our region. The NJTPA engaged more than 4,000 people across 13 counties to get their ideas for the future of our region. Their voices help shape this plan and are reflected in our Connecting Communities. The plan emphasizes making travel safer for everyone, making the region more resilient to extreme weather events, and maintaining transportation infrastructure in a state of good repair. This is a vision that we should all strive for and be proud of. We also adopted a new transportation improvement program that will provide record funding, more than $16 billion, for projects and programs in our region over the next 4 years. This funding will help advance many local priorities, including the replacement of the Old Bridge Manawan Road Bridge in Middlesex and Monmouth counties. The NJTPA has also been working to improve air quality in our region. As Dave has mentioned, the federal government recently let us know that, thanks to our efforts, we're no longer required to monitor for carbon monoxide, after making an impressive milestone by successfully completing 20 years of attainment status. We're also hoping to advance important work at the county and municipal level. 8 counties completed local safety action plans with the support of the NJTPA this past fiscal year. In the coming year, the NJTPA will be leading an effort to provide technical assistance to municipalities to help them implement safety plans and adopt Vision Zero policies. Monmouth, Morris, Ocean, and Somerset counties also recently completed local concept development studies that explore improvements to county-owned roads and bridges. The NJTPA is considering the latest round of applications to local capital project delivery programs. This program helps us put federal dollars to work to make priority improvements at the local level. Finally, I want to highlight that during the last fiscal year, nearly $38 million was authorized for construction and design of projects in the NJTPA's local safety program. This includes the construction of a roundabout in Jackson Township in Ocean County and improvements to 21 intersections in Essex County. Turning to today's agenda, I want to highlight the action we'll be taking to approve more than $29 million for transportation alternative projects like pedestrian safety upgrades, bikeways, and other quality of life improvements. With the board's approval today, 29 projects across our region will receive federal funding through this program. This includes nearly $1.5 million for pedestrian safety improvements to Oak Tree Road in Edison and my hometown of Woodbridge. Looking to the future, I want to also remind everyone that the NJTPA will elect new officers for 2-year terms at our January meeting. In his last act as chair, Commissioner Kelly will convene a nominating committee. Monmouth County Commissioner Tom Arnone and Commissioner Kowalski have agreed to serve on the committee. Over the next few weeks, the committee will meet to determine a slate of candidates for the executive committee positions. The nominations will be announced at the January meeting, followed by a call for additional nominations before a vote is taken. If anyone is interested in making a motion, please reach out to Chairman Kelly or Dave. In closing, I want to thank again Commissioner Chairman Kelly and Commissioner Kowalski for their dedication and collaboration during their time on the board and honor the incredible work we've been able to accomplish together. Thank you, and that concludes my remarks. So at this time, I asked the NJDOT, any remarks this morning?
Well, there's a range of things probably that could be talked about, but I think I'd just like to point out that in December 1st is the next Target Zero Commission meeting, public. The work of moving towards zero fatalities continues. That meeting, there will be a high injury network that's coming out. There'll be a report that's coming out, data portal that's there. I think the work of that commission, while it's not just DOT specific, there's 13 members, dovetails nicely with the work that NJTPA does and the locals do. So I look forward to that partnership and being able to advance both the state work and the local work and county work, together as we try to reduce fatalities. Thank you.
Are those meetings streamed or are they just in person?
We are looking to have that televised for the first. Information on that meeting can be found at the DOT website. How you would participate, how you would sign up, and any streaming options would be on the.
Very good. Thank you very much. NJ Transit, any remarks this morning?
Yeah, just briefly, obviously a lot of things we could talk about, but just wanted to extend my thanks to the TPA and the other partners. A little while ago, we kind of engaged in some innovative financing and developed a program to support the delivery of electric vehicles to a number of our county local transit providers, and we're currently right in the process of doing that. So Somerset, Middlesex, Essex, and Union, who are the ones who asked, are in the middle of receiving those. We're also using some of those vehicles internally at New Jersey Transit for other services that benefit some of the other counties. Sometimes these things take a little while, but we're seeing the fruits of the labor right now. Appreciate this partnership.
Thank you. Port Authority, any remarks this morning?
Well, many of you know Mary Kay Murphy was here for a number of years and has been the director of planning at the Port Authority since. She'll be retiring in January, so I wanted to congratulate her on a long career and just let folks here know that she'll be replaced by Seth Weiner, who will be taking the helm of what's going to be renamed the Planning and Innovation Department.
All right. Thank you very much. So at this time, I'll go to Dave for the Executive Director.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Commissioner Kenny. As you just heard, two of our board members, Chairman Kelly and Commissioner Kowalski, are wrapping up their time as NJTPA trustees. We'll have a little more to say about that later. I do want to take this opportunity to personally thank them both for their leadership and partnership over the years. Now, as Commissioner Kenny mentioned, we've made some good progress in the past fiscal year on our local safety program. For about 2 decades, this program has been one of the most effective ways we've helped our subregions make much needed safety improvements. So during federal fiscal year 2025, which ended September 30th, a total of $37.76 million was authorized for design and construction of projects initiated through the program. These funds are advancing projects that make local roads safer for drivers, pedestrians, and cyclists. And during FY 2025, 7 projects moved from preliminary engineering to final design, and 2 were authorized for construction. 5 additional projects, construction was already underway in Plainfield, Newark, Maplewood, South Orange, and Livingston. Essex County will begin work this month on 7 intersections along Springfield Avenue, and Jersey City has awarded a contract for safety improvements at 12 intersections on Communipaw Avenue. All these improvements target locations with a history of crashes and are designed to deliver very direct and very real benefits to our region's residents. They reduce property damage, they prevent serious injuries, and they save lives. Commissioner Kenny also mentioned the progress we've made on air quality. In other related news, earlier this fall, the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency endorsed the air quality conformity determination for the Long-Range Plan and Transportation Improvement Program approved by the board in September. This confirms that every project and program in those plans meets federal air quality standards and contributes to a healthier environment for our residents. FHWA and FTA are now completing their final reviews and expect full federal approval soon. I think this really underscores how our investments support mobility and environmental stewardship. These things aren't mutually exclusive, and it ensures that the projects we deliver contribute to cleaner air and healthier communities. Beyond that, I want to highlight a few other ways that we continue to put federal dollars to work for the region. As Commissioner Kenny mentioned, today the board will consider awarding funding to projects through the Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program. 45 applications for projects in our region were received this year, 36 were eligible, and based on available funding, we are recommending the board approve 29 projects totaling $29.3 million. This includes pedestrian and bicycle improvements, safer routes to schools, and community enhancements that make local travel safer and more accessible. I'm also particularly pleased to note that 4 of the recommended applications sought funding to advance recommendations that came from Complete Streets Technical Assistance Program reports funded and developed by the NJTPA, showing that this planning work we're doing is paying off for many of our communities. Regarding that program, we've now completed 29 reports for municipalities across the region, including 5 that wrapped up in June, and applications for the next round of Complete Streets Technical Assistance closed earlier this month. Those submissions are on a related note, our Complete Streets Demonstration Library remains an important resource that provides towns with materials and guidance, test temporary design improvements before making permanent changes. To date, 26 demonstration projects have been completed through the program. A great recent example is in Teaneck, where the township installed painted curb extensions, flexible delineators at the intersection of Queen Anne Road and Ayers Court. And these changes shorten pedestrian crossings, calm traffic, and make it easier for drivers and pedestrians to see each other. This project built on years of community safety work and shows how a small, thoughtful improvement can make very much a lasting difference. It also complements Teaneck's ongoing Street Smart New Jersey campaign with Easy Ride Transportation Management Association, which promotes safe travel behavior through education and outreach. So we're really from planning to design to construction to public education, we're doing a lot of work to help make our region's streets safer and more welcoming, in addition to our participation on the Target Zero Commission that Eric mentioned. In related news about Street Smart, I did want to let people know that Easy Ride recently honored our own Will Yarzab, our Street Smart coordinator, with its inaugural Kent E. Hansen Friends of Easy Ride Award, recognizing his leadership and dedication to pedestrian safety. And certainly we appreciate that, as the organization appreciates that award that Will received. And thanks, Easy Ride, for the recognition. In fiscal year 2025, we also continued to move significant projects forward through our local capital project delivery program. During this fiscal year, a total of $54.5 million was authorized to support work in every stage of project development. We have projects that are advancing to preliminary engineering or into final design, and one began construction. This includes key bridge replacement and other improvement projects in Passaic, Morristown, Newark, Harrison, Lyndhurst, Roxbury Township, and a bridge connecting Old Bridge and Matawan. Each represents progress in strengthening infrastructure, improving access, and ensuring that our transportation system remains reliable and resilient. So taken together, those projects, the local safety and transportation alternatives projects that I mentioned, that's an investment of more than $120 million in planning, design, and construction activities across the region, improving safety, reducing congestion, expanding mobility options, and helping communities prepare for the future. You can find more information about these accomplishments and much more of our other work in the fiscal year 2025 annual report. We've provided each board member with a copy at your seat, as well as a copy of the final Connecting Communities plan and its executive summary. I also want to note that we're in the midst of several sub-regional studies. It includes a Hunterdon County bicycle plan, and want to thank Hunterdon County for hosting members of our Up Next North Jersey Young Adult Advisory Group recently, talking to them about the bicycle plan for the county. And Up Next, if you're not familiar, it's an active and engaged group of 21 to 30-year-olds who are always willing to share their ideas about transportation with us. If you know of anybody who might be a good fit, please look on our website. We're recruiting members on an ongoing basis. Finally, I'll just note that all 15 of our subregions have submitted draft work programs and budgets for the upcoming Unified Planning Work Program that we're developing for the next fiscal year. Staff is reviewing those submissions, and the draft plan will be shared with the board and the committees later this year. All this work I've highlighted reflects the continued dedication of our staff, sub-regional partners, our agency partners, our board members, and together we're making sure that every dollar invested delivers real value, safer streets, better connections, and cleaner and more vibrant communities. With that, I'll wrap up my rather lengthy report.
Thank you very much. So at this time, I'm going to ask President Calori if he would come up and talk about New Jersey Transit's capital projects and priorities. President Calori, just be advised that you seem to have brought a big crowd to our meeting. So you might get called upon in future to come talk to us. So this time I'll turn it over to the.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. I don't think it's me that brought all these folks up. I think it's the amazing work that you and your colleagues do every day and at the board that has brought all these wonderful people. But it is nice to see so many people. Eric, I think it's been like almost 20 years since I've seen you. You still look the same. It's nice to see you engaged. And let me just first, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the extraordinary work you and your colleagues do every day. And my association with this organization now goes back almost 25 years. And through those 25 years, I've always seen how dedicated and extraordinary your contributions are to the region's mobility problems and, more importantly, solutions. Jeremy Colangelo, my colleague, serves on this board with you in my stead, and I appreciate all the work he does. I know the chairman is not here today, but I want to congratulate all of you for adopting the TIP. I think the fact that you've done that is a testament not only to you, but to an adherence to this ongoing principle that these projects come together not by accident, but by design. You work every single day to make sure that projects that will improve the lives of residents has been the cornerstone of this MPO, and what is reflected in this TIP is just that. Part of that is New Jersey Transit's almost $5 billion of capital projects, of which this year alone, I believe it were about $1.47 billion. So when you put it all together, this is what a robust capital program looks like. And again, all geared towards the interests of the resident. I could certainly go through a list of projects with you, but with your permission, I'm going to do something. I've always been a nonconformist, so next time you invite me, you should know this. I think I've now been. This is my second tour of duty at Transit. First time I was chairman. This time I'm CEO. I wanted to offer you a bit of perspective of what sort of has happened in the last 10 months I've been in this job. There are three-legged stools is the way I think about New Jersey Transit. One is infrastructure, two is rolling stock, and three is human capital. And underpinning all those is funding. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to spend a few minutes talking about these three-legged stool and then the funding. When you think about rolling stock, it is true that the challenges that we see at New Jersey Transit mostly come by way of mechanical challenges and because some of our rolling stock is old. It is kind of a shocking thing to admit that we are running a 21st century train system with train cars still made in the 1970s. What do you expect? Right? So one of the things that I said when I came in is this idea that that is just not a tolerable position. There is a reason why that such a problem exists. It is not because the people who work there didn't care. In fact, this has been sort of their obsession. In fact, I was the first commissioner and then chairman to bring in the bi-level cars going back to my first year as commissioner. And that was the last time there has been a second generation of multi-levels, but we haven't done anything with the arrows and comets. So those rail cars go back to the 1977s to 1980s. So one of the things that we said collectively is we need to show a true adherence to this principle that modernization means we are going to replace every single rail, every one of them. So by the end of this year, as I promised, the board has acted on voting and authorizing the staff at New Jersey Transit to modernize every single rail car. That means by 2031, all cars on the system will be multi-levels. It's never happened. We've been around for 45 years. It has never happened. And my commitment was, again, based on the fact that people love talking about mean distance between failure and this problem, that problem. Well, I think we need to step back and do what the NJTPO does all the time, which is what do the people want? How are we going to get there? That is the question. And the way you do it is just by once and for all replacing all the rail cars. But we wanted to go one step further. We are going to replace all the buses. So what does that mean? There are 2,400 buses that will be replaced between now and 20. Never happened in the 45 years. Costs a lot of money, almost $3 billion when you put all this together. But as there was a story this weekend in the NJ.com, there's a very important reason why. Reliability, safety, and security cannot be done because we hope it is the right thing to do. You got to act on it. So rolling stock, done it. We will, by the end of this year, finish that mission, and we now have the authorization to do it. That is on my little list, check. Second, infrastructure. When you think about infrastructure, on the Northeast Corridor, which is significantly where most of our problems lie, because that is the feeder tube. As many of you know, I just came from the Gateway Development Commission as CEO, where I was very honored to work with my colleagues to essentially get $16 billion with the help of the governor and the senators and the members of Congress, especially our newly elected governor, Mikey Sherrill, to make sure there's full funding for a redundant tunnel. That is, again, you can't rely on infrastructure that goes back 115 years and somehow say it's going to work without any problem. So not only is that Hudson Tunnel project moving forward today, despite some of the challenges, but there are other projects. Portal is almost 80% done, if number is correct. And that means we are working to improve infrastructure that goes back a century and making sure they are replaced because, again, it improves our on-time performance and reliability. It's not just on the Northeast Corridor. You go to the Raritan Valley. I was just at the Raritan River Bridge the last week with the FDA administrator, where we are now going to replace a bridge that was badly damaged during Hurricane Sandy and replacing with a modern bridge. These are projects that'll last another 100 years. One of the things that always shocks me about how we tend to think about infrastructure. Even today, as a country, I think we're prone to thinking about problems in a year or 2 year span. Well, I will tell you readily that the rest of the world is thinking about infrastructure problems in hundreds. We need to get away from this idea somehow that we are only going to focus when we have money. Well, that kind of schizophrenic decision is what has led us to the kind of problems we face today. So what my recommendation, and I think it's reflected in the tip that you've adopted, is this idea that we need to be thinking in 50, 60, and 100 years terms. That is the right prescription to bring the state back to where we need. Let me talk about human capital. The biggest challenge that I have seen, and perhaps you've seen this in your own counties, is we are just not, even in a difficult job market, we just can't compete with the private sector. And what is the result of that? There is a brain drain that is happening at these very important agencies where people with extraordinary experience are leaving to go in the private sector or retire outright. That is something that is going to haunt us for a very long time unless there's a structural adjustment to it. It is a hard thing to sell somebody to give a structural adjustment in income when people already are complaining about it. But I assure you, if we don't reconcile this issue in the not too distant future, we're going to pay for it very dearly. Because the solution, by the way, is very simple. You just go and you hire the private sector, which they do excellent work. But what have you done? The costs haven't gone down. The cost is either the same or it's gone up. So the question that you have to ask yourself is, what side of the ledger do you want people with really strong skills, institutional knowledge to stay? That doesn't mean there's not a role for the private sector, mind you. I know several of my colleagues are here from the private sector. There's room for both. But this idea that we're going to hollow out an entire institution because we're not able to come up with a structural adjustment for salary, I think is a losing proposition. Mark my word on it. Let me switch to funding. Funding is the anchor of all the things I just talked about. Thanks to the legislature and the governor, for the first time again, in as long as I can remember, New Jersey Transit has enough money for the next 5 years on the operating budget because of the corporate transit fee. And the newly elected governor has assured us, and I'm so gratified to hear, that she's determined to make sure there's a steady source of funding in perpetuity. That is the right attitude. Why is that important? Predictability is the key to success for any time you want to run an organization this big. Can't do it if you got to look for money every year here and there under the seat cushions and try hope and pray you can run a system. That is not a way to run a modern. So the fact that corporate transit fees exist is a great thing. But I thought we have an obligation to do one more thing. This idea that we are not going to leverage assets that we already sit on, I think is a missed opportunity. So we, working with our colleagues, issued what is called a land plan. If you haven't looked at it, please look at it. It essentially seeks to leverage. We own 8,000 acres of property at New Jersey Transit. We believe we can leverage 800 of those acres to build transit-oriented developments, renewable projects as appropriate, commercial developments, data centers, all on land that we own. That alone is going to produce about $1.9 billion for New Jersey Transit over 30 years, $14 billion for the state of New Jersey, and almost $3 to $4 billion for local municipalities. But I want to be clear. I know most of you come from counties. Home rule is not going to be set aside. It is something that we need to work with our counties and municipalities to agree on a path forward. We just did an event at Metro Park where the mayor of Woodbridge, Vice Chairman, your hometown mayor, who was skeptical of this idea of a transit-oriented development at Metro Park. But when we met him, when we met with a developer and we came up with a structure that he was able to get his mind around and shape in the way that he thought was appropriate for the township, we now have one of the most successful transit-oriented developments in the state. That is the path forward. This idea that we're going to keep relying on a very same source of funding to solve our problems in perpetuity is just not a workable solution. The next thing is a little bit of a tough subject. This idea that fares are voluntarily paid is a failed approach. I don't agree with it. I don't believe it. That is why when somebody says, I am not going to focus on paying a fare until a conductor shows up, I think is a thing that is of the past, at least as long as I'm the CEO. Why is that? It is not fair when somebody's paying their fare for the person sitting next to them not pay their fare. That is not how this compact works. We conservatively believe there's an $80 million leakage in our fares every year because of this thing. That's the equivalent of a 9% fare increase. Does that make any sense to you? Doesn't make any sense to me. So what are we doing? I don't come to you with just problems. I come to you with solutions, implementable solutions. One, we're going to bring brand new fare gates that are going to be at Secaucus and Newark Airport. And we're going to look to see how effective they are in collecting fares. Two, we have now unveiled brand new mobile validation devices for the ticket collectors to use, which are much more able to transfer the collection of the tickets. Three, we have now implemented a roving patrol of police officers and ticket collector agents at different train stations every week. The reason that's important is I think we're trying to change the culture. We're trying to change the culture. It happens at Long Island Railroad every single day, where people pay their tickets before they get on their train. I don't understand why we don't do it. The last thing is we're going to rely on technology to see if we can correct and collect these tickets before anybody gets on a train or bus as soon as they get to our facility. That is how you unlock the potential of a system where people aren't paying their fair share. I say all this because this business is never meant to make profit. At best, we make 47 cents on the dollar system-wide. At best. What does that mean? We're losing 53 cents on the dollar the moment you give us a dollar. In that system, does it make any sense to have the kind of leakage we have right now? It doesn't to me. Now, I've only been in this job for 10 months. I'm here for 2 more months. But this is a very important mission that we all have to be focused on. Let me end with just 2 things, if that's okay. You tell me how my time is. I'm a lawyer by trade, so I talk. So, FIFA, you saw the work we did in 2025. It was a good test run for New Jersey Transit and the system. I focus on controllables and uncontrollables in my life. The things we can control, I'm fairly certain that we have a plan in place and we have a contingency in place. What I'm going to focus on is the uncontrollables. That could be anything from the weather to the Northeast Corridor not working. Nothing offense against my colleagues who are former colleagues from Amtrak who are here in the audience. That is just a fact, right? We need to collectively focus on how do we make sure for the world's biggest event, we have a system that is functioning. We are prepared, and we tested it, pressure tested it, I might add. I was there for every single game. We can move up to 20,000 people an hour, up to 40,000 out of the 70,000. So that's a big number. It is the highest we will ever move. We will have enough buses and trains to do just that. That means we're going to have to make some modifications on the system, which we will, but we are prepared for it. This is something that we need to test as a group, and I'm happy to report back to you when as the preparations go, or my successor. Let me end with my last sort of thing that I think we collectively need to focus on. Automation is coming, whether you like it or not. It is coming. Within the next decade, the system as we know it will not look the same. Take my word for it. Canada already has introduced automated trains today. That means there are light rails and heavy rails running in Canada today that are automated. We are on a path to transform the system. That's going to require two things. We have to protect the people who have jobs. We have to be careful about this. This cannot be a system where we basically say, well, that's nice, we're going to take an automated solution and kick the people who had jobs out. That is not going to work. Eventually, that is going to be a problem of the state. So I want you to know that this is coming, but we need to figure out a way to reconcile it. Two, we're going to need real money for this. So the budget you've passed is a great step to what I would call as a foundational step. But if we are truly to bring the kind of efficiency, reliability, and supremacy from an economic standpoint in this country, we want to be on the forefront of this revolution, not on the very back. I was watching somebody who's basically said that within 2 decades, there'll be more humanoid robots in the world than people. Whether you agree with that or not is a matter of debate. But what I am saying is that this is a wave that is coming, and our capital projects and our organizations need to be prepared to absorb it. If we don't, we also are going to be a loser because we're going to be running an analog system in a digital world. That is not a solution that is sustainable, I assure you, because the pressures on all of us on the cost of operations is never going to cease. The cost is going to keep going up. The question is, are you going to either taper the cost or lower the cost? Automation is a solution that will be presented as an alternative. But our challenge is going to be, how are we going to do this without hurting the people? So on that doomsday note, thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Anybody have any questions for Chris? John?
Actually, Chris, first of all, thank you very much. That was a great comprehensive look at what you're thinking and the direction that NJ Transit is going. As you pointed out, we're not planning a few years ahead, we're planning decades ahead. And Dave and I had the opportunity to go up to Portland, Maine last month for the national meeting of the National Association of Regional Councils, where I represent our region and Dave represents our region on the Executive Directors Council. And we toured the Portland waterfront and learned a lot about what they're planning for in terms of climate resiliency, sea level rise, tides, storms, and so forth. Obviously, this region has both a coast and rivers like the Passaic River that are dramatically affected by climate. And I'd like to hear, as you have these 50 and 60-year plans for what the system is going to look like, how is climate resiliency part of that calculus and the design?
I mean, it is such an important question. And Jeremy, I know, lives and breathes this stuff, so he can certainly amplify my comments. We are seeing, especially, and I saw it literally this summer, in more frequent storms. They're short in time periods, but they're more powerful. That means on the coastline and even some of our non-water driven lines, like the M&E and other places, you just basically saw a wave of storms just come through the summer that had devastating impact on our system. on the coastline especially, I think we were shut down. What was that storm, Anthony? We were shut down a couple of days. Yeah. It was not a named storm. It was just one day there was a very, very violent storm that just went through and it basically shut us down for thank God it was a weekend. But to your point, John, I think what this means is that we are certainly incorporating elements to handle climate resiliency as part of it. But as you know, there is a difference of opinion in the federal government on what the current policy is. My advice is our jobs is not a political one. Our job is to think about what is right from an infrastructure standpoint. So whether there's funding availability today or not, whether what the elected officials are saying today or not, we need to do what is right for the infrastructure and for the residents. And that means we need to articulate positions and put in place designs and even construction that handle climate change issues. I certainly we're doing that. We did that on the Raritan Bridge, and we're certainly doing this on the project. But I am glad you raised this. It is an issue that is real, it is present, and it is frequent, and it's more damaging. And that means anticipate this trend will continue into the future, and we have to have infrastructure that matches it, and we're certainly doing that.
Thank you. Anybody else on this side?
Yeah, Bergen County, President Calori. Question regarding the Bergen Light Rail. Obviously, as you know, you're well aware that's been evolving for 30 years. There's been a lot of setbacks. Obviously, the Gold Coast is highly dense. If you drive on River Road, Hudson Terrace, you find the densities are enormous, equivalent to Newark and other places. What is the future plans for NJ Transit to actually expand this rail line? Bergen, we're quite frustrated with this process, and we're looking for, and the residents are also looking for some sort of future mass transit as opposed to just taking the automobile. Thank you.
Thank you. Look, I congratulate your county executive, Tedesco, for his persistence on this as well, and Senator Sarlo, who's the chairman of the Budget Committee, so you have a pretty powerful voice there. I think this is a project that was around when I was there the first time around, and not much progress has been made. What we have said is that it is time to revive the EIS document and to see where we need to go. But I will admit that the path from here to the end is not a linear one, because your towns some of the towns have changed their mind on whether they want it or not. And I forget which ones. But that doesn't mean that line extension is not important or needed. I think everybody agrees that it is one of the most important projects in the state, and we should continue. And I can assure you that New Jersey Transit, I know for a fact this governor-elect is also focused on this, just like she's on the GCL line in Camden to Glassboro, and those are going to happen. But if I could offer a thought, by the way, not a prejudice against these two projects. I want to be very clear on the record. Hudson Bergen Light Rail Extension and GCL stand on their own, separate. I think we need to be a bit more mode agnostic on how to move. This idea that we are focused on one mode because it sounds good is not the right approach for us as a state. And I really mean it. I hope you take it to heart. Our objective is to move people from point A to point B in the most efficient manner. If that means a BRT, if that means a micromobility solution, if that means a light rail, whatever it is, we have to be open to it, understanding that the costs associated with it are going to sort of fluctuate depending on the mode you choose. But our priority is not, I want this to move X. Our priority should be, how many people are we moving from A to B, and what is the right solution? If we do that, I think you begin to fundamentally alter the finances of an institution like NJ Transit and the state's budget. Because yes, it is the right way to think about it, perhaps 30, 40 years ago. But when I hear again, to be clear, I'm not talking about Hudson Bergen Light Rail and GCL. I hear we need to connect people by light rail in different parts of the state. I've respectfully suggested we need to be very, very thoughtful on how to solve the problem and not obsess about it.
Anybody else on this side?
There's one more here.
I'm coming up.
Okay.
Yeah, this side.
Stephen Shaw from Morris County. Thank you very much for being here and a very refreshing update. Especially, I like to hear I didn't know voluntary affairs was a thing. So appreciate your position on
Neither
that.
did I, yeah.
You talked about technology, but more specifically integrating AI into NJ Transit. Is there a thought about that? It can also help on the human capital side of things as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, I'll give you one place where we're going to test this out and see how it goes. Is I take the train from Princeton Junction to Newark every day. The one of the things that we're thinking about is, does it make sense? And I think, Jeremy, you're working with Google and others, or Lookman, Google and others, to see if we can put some LiDAR cameras on our system at Princeton Junction train station to measure the number of people on the platform compared to how many people are paying on the train. So you essentially now are able to determine what the delta looks like. Then there is technology that already exists. I'll just give you a very, very simple analogy. When you walk into a Starbucks today, your phone triggers a notice that says, would you like to join the Wi-Fi? Right? It's like a near field communications, an NFC. There are technologies that exist today that, based on your geographic location, can trigger a notice. And my question is, why can't we trigger a notice saying it's time to buy your ticket? If you don't buy the ticket, question is, what is the next step? Right? So I think AI is a very important component part of this, because our reliance just on human beings clearly helps us collect $1 billion. So no small number, right? So we shouldn't discount that. But the question is, how do we make up for this $80 to $90 million delta? And I think technology and AI is the answer to this. But we want to be careful not to violate people's privacy and all that stuff. But I think it would be a mistake if we don't take advantage of that, because this loss of revenue compounds year over year. You can only imagine how much that means in a period of 10 years. Just believe that's $800 million. A lot can be done with $800 million. So, including recruiting and keeping human capital that is really smart. So, I am look. This has become sort of Anthony knows it's an obsession of mine, because I think this is the right thing for our taxpayers. It's a matter of equity. This campaign that we just came off talked a lot about affordability, and I think that's the right thing to think about. A lot of people are worried about costs, how much it costs for tickets, how much it costs for groceries. Well, I put forward this notion, well, there's a cost to not paying as well. That is the cost I obsess about, because if we're able to do that, then we can perhaps reduce the cost for those who are. That is ultimately sort of the solution that I'm sort of seeking. And again, look, in the time I have left, my goal is to put in place a roadmap and principles for the next person to implement, and not just sort of leave them with a bunch of problems.
Anybody else on this side? Just I don't know if you can go any further, but I know since I've been on the board, the one-seat ride has been a big issue. The tunnel sort of solves that issue. Any definitive type of word on what might be happening with the tunnel, or is it just at a whim?
Yeah, so I think, let me just clarify this one point, though, because just remember, the tunnel is built as a resiliency project. Very important to remember this, because I talked to a lot of RVL mayors as well who are focused on this on a one-seat ride. In order for a one-seat ride to happen system-wide and get to 48 trains an hour, we need an expansion of the of the train station as well. Very important. These are combined projects that yield the kind of result we want to see. But why is this tunnel important? Literally, we have a single point of failure on our northeast corridor. If those two tunnels fail, like one failed on Friday at 4 o'clock, the South Tube failed on for whatever the issue was, catenary system or something. That essentially leads to extraordinary amounts of delays. Imagine if you now have two tubes that are shut down for an extended period of time. That is the kind of consequences we never want to see. So, but I've been assured that this project construction is ongoing on 5 out of the 9 projects, and there is no indication from Washington, from anybody, frankly, that this project is not important. So I have not heard it. Yes, there's, because of the shutdown, there's temporary issues, but it's good to see that there's a settlement in the Senate, and hopefully the House will vote on it this week, and we're back to business at least till January 30th. So that should relieve some of the money, loosen up some of the money that is currently tied up. So, but I don't have any indication that anybody is opposed to this project, period.
When it comes to, you talking about large capital projects, smaller ones, the stations with escalators and stuff like that, is there a plan in place to, because I know some of them are very old, so it's hard to find parts and they're out of service for a while. Plans for that?
Yep. So my pet peeve is when somebody says an elevator has been out for 3 years. It drives me nuts. So one of the first things we did, Hamilton is a good example. I don't know if anybody here. We don't go, NJTPO doesn't go to Middle Mercer. No. That's DVRPC, right? So Hamilton is a great example. That elevator has been out for 3 years. And so within 30 days, it can be done. Within 30 days, based on a mandate I issued, I said we will put out an RFP within 30 days, no matter what. And guess what? 30 days, there was an RFP. Within 60 days, there was a response, and we awarded the contract, and construction is about to start. Our problem is, and I'm not sure, and Jeremy, you may have an answer for this. I'm not quite sure why we do these things. Everything seems to be bespoke in the world we come from. I don't understand. Lyndhurst, for example, is a remarkable train station. If anybody has not seen it, you should go see it. We built that train station for $28 million. One of the best looking train stations you've ever seen, with high level platforms, with canopy systems. So one of the mandates that we have issued is to see to the best level possible to do stations in a bundle, like 7 to 10 at a time, and try. I hate to use word standardized design, but to come up with, not everything has to be bespoke. Why can't we have a canopy system and the materials for a high level platform that look and feel the same like we just use in Lyndhurst? So what you now have is a group of people in capital programs along with planning who are really trying to figure out what the elements of a train station look like and how to standardize it best they can. That is how you begin to reduce the cost structure. But there's one more thing to it, and I'm sure you see this. I am a huge fan of cost assurance. What does that mean? When a project is about to start, you have what is called an independent cost estimate, ICE. That is developed in partnership with our engineers and with our outside consultants. That to me is a good start, but not enough. You have to have an independent set of eyes that work right for the SVP of capital programs that basically looks at any project over $10 to $20 million, make sure that ICE is reasonable. It actually makes sense because everybody wants to please the client and not worry about whether the project and schedule or the budget and schedule are correct. So I believe, and we've instituted that in the last 5 months, there is going to be a cost assurance model that goes along with everything we do now to make sure that the project schedule and budget are validated from the very get-go. Because what happens invariably now, and the reason why we can't do too many of these things is, and the project managers and consultants aren't trained this way. Again, this is much like the fare increase, the fare evasion. there is a culture that somehow, not because they're bad people, by the way, I want to be clear about that. There's somehow this feeling that if a project goes over by 20, 30%, people like me will find the money. Well, the answer is no. You got to de-scope. You got to phase. I'm going to ask all of you to think about the same when you approve the tip. This cannot be about, let's put it out there because a project feels good and I promise my constituencies. Important, yes. But adherence to a schedule and project has to be real. It can't be based on some figment. I'm not saying again, they're not well-reasoned people, but we have to control what goes in and then monitor how it comes out. That has to be the way we do capital projects. Otherwise, we're never going to get to satisfying all your constituent needs. So my hope is that, one, we come up with some standard elements for train stations and platforms and ADA accessibility, escalator stuff. And two, come up with a cost assurance model that really controls the cost from day one. So we're not back to my board and yours and asking for change orders and change in scope. Not the way to do business.
Right, thank you, but I'll say the Metro Park project, as you were saying, you described it very correctly. You were 100% on. And now it's looked at as possibly the start of something in that area that'll be even bigger. When I say bigger, it'll spread out into the office park that's there. So it turns out to be a good thing.
I mean, look, our goal is to change these park and rides to live-in rides. I think that's the right way to think about it.
So with that, we're good?
Just one more.
One more down. Oh, Commissioner?
Thank you, and we appreciate the time for this wonderful presentation. On the capital front, has Transit considered working with private partners to resell data that could be helpful for businesses to guide them in the right direction for where to invest in New Jersey?
Yeah, and Jeremy, I actually don't know whether we have, I don't think we have any limitations if we want to, right?
Depending on the data.
Yeah, I mean, because I think what you're suggesting is, look, Verizon and AT&T have no problems bundling up their data and selling it, whether we should do it. Look, I'm, again, great example of something that we should chase down, because if it's a revenue generation potential without violating people's privacy, as long as it's anonymized data, I think we should be open to it. I think great idea. In fact, thank you. I'm going to steal it.
Mr. President, do you have time? I know you're up, I'll open it up to the floor if anybody has any questions for President Kalori.
Call me Chris, please.
Okay.
I have a good question.
Go right ahead.
Sure. I think that a lot of us around the table go through this, and you did mention the Lagos tool. I was wondering, when it comes to urgency and importance of those three components, how do you rate those three components in order to keep the operation going, and that the team clearly understands that all three need some sort of focus at one point or another? But how do you rate them in urgency and importance?
So the way we approach is that we treat them all as equal, and otherwise you have an unbalanced stool. And for us, unfortunately, the circumstances New Jersey Transit has found itself over the last 45 years hasn't let it focus on all three simultaneously. For the first time in 45 years, we've done just that, and all focused again on the customer. I hope your experience today at Newark train station was a good one. We spend a lot of time cleaning that station every night throughout the day. You smell lavender. That's my idea. I'm obsessed with the lavender. Don't know why, but in the last frontier of this problem is the challenge we have with the unhoused. This is arguably one of the most challenging yet humane solutions we need to think about. These folks are no different than the rest of us sitting around. We just happen to be on the right side of the line. Not because we did anything special, but I think we're lucky. So I just think that we need to be a little bit careful on not to not treat them as human beings. But for me, all of these three things are important. You have to do them together in order to have a reliable system.
Go right ahead, sir.
Just a quick question. President Cleary, I don't know if you'd have this level of detail, but you might be aware of the Lackawanna Cutoff project in Sussex, Andover. I believe they started construction on that in 2011, and you had mentioned about staying on schedule. There seems to be another delay on that that's pushing that out for another maybe 2 or 3 years. And I know Amtrak's looking at the New York City to Scranton, Pennsylvania, their passenger rail expansion projects, and that runs over the cutoff. Is there any way to maybe tighten up that delay that seems to be occurring now, or is,
Yeah, look, the good,
I don't mean to put you on the spot.
it's okay. It's okay. I actually get briefed by the project managers on every project. This one, the delay is because you need to mitigate the rockfall potential on the project that's currently on. The issue, there's a delta between how much we have in the budget and how much it's going to cost for the rockfall mitigation. I believe the project manager owes me an answer in the next 2 to 3 weeks on how he's able to narrow that deficit to still do the project on time, so we can.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it.
Happy to get back.
Any more? Jersey City?
Hey, Chris, thanks for your time today. It's been great. I think you brought up sort of one structural issue that I think is an impediment to thinking about infrastructure in the state 50, 60, 100 years, and that's home rule. I think, we're New Jersey, we love home rule, but in terms of getting strategic infrastructure in place to move the people the most efficiently around the state, it can sometimes be an impediment, as we talked about. So on that issue, is there a role for the folks around this table, the county as the region, to play in sort of pushing forward the idea that there are some things that just need checks and balances in terms of whether or not a local organization can put the brakes on it? And the other, in your time at both DOT and transit is, we think about in the state moving people, and there's sort of siloed ways at the agencies in which we do it, but funding, we know, could be more efficient in terms of moving people if we were thinking about mobility across the different modes and across the different agencies a little more. And is there a role for the next administration and for those around the table to play in thinking about that strategically?
Yeah, and look, I mean, I'll answer your first question by saying this. When I was appointed the very first CEO of the Gateway Development Commission, we had zero money. I was a temp employee, no benefits. But that was a challenge we were willing to do, me and a couple of folks. We didn't have cell phones, we didn't have laptops, we didn't have nothing. We didn't have, somebody gave us a windowless conference room and said, okay, start. And 2 years and 8 months later, we had $16 billion. Working with New York and New Jersey in an environment which essentially, this project, as all of you know very well, had a vacuum cleaner for the entire resources of the federal government. So that is a great case study on how, when there were competing interests, we were able to stitch together a compromise position that advanced the most important project. That is a really good way to think about when you're talking about home rule projects. In fact, the region, not just one city or one town. I think even the most intractable problems facially can be solved if you have people sitting at the table who are sort of wired a certain way, neurotic, it's helpful, like I am, to try and figure out how to solve these problems. And I think, and determination and the support of the governor and the mayors. I mean, look, I want to say this. The mayor of Woodbridge was extraordinarily important in this navigating. You have to do the hard work to convince them that this is in their best interest. There is no way around it. And so even the most obstinate of problems, I think, can be overcome. On this issue of Look, I'm gonna say, I'm a big believer in a unified theory of transportation, which is you cannot have a balkanized system that runs the funding and the organization. It's a bit unorthodox and perhaps even blasphemous to some. I don't believe so. I think we don't have a choice. You have to have a unified capital program. Easier said than done, but you got to drive for it. And that means it is okay to give the NJTPO a look on what's happening at the Turnpike. Okay, not the end of the world. And that is, and it is okay for all of us to come up with a unified capital plan, a unified solution to solve the mobility crisis. And I'm telling you, you can't, if somebody, that means, and this sounds a little silly when I say this, if that means if the fastest way, if you drive now, you use Waze, most people do. Waze's job is to tell you how to get from point A to point B in real time as fast as possible. Well, we need to do the exact same thing for mobility, system-wide. So it is mode agnostic. It's obsessed with getting people from point A to point B the fastest. Does that mean, and this, we're a little far away from this, if that means somebody gets on a train in Princeton Junction, has to get off in New Brunswick to take a micro shuttle to get to 3 stops from there because there's some problem between those stations, but that gets them to ultimately to their destination on time, that is the right answer. Very hard to sort of say from where we are to there, but it is doable. The world is doing it in some places already. Some better than others, but they're doing it because they're all facing the same problems we face. Our challenge is our cost curve is exponential, always has been. I don't like blaming one group or another for why, but this is how transportation is an expensive business. Building is expensive. Operating is expensive. We have to figure out a way to sort of either flatten or certainly temper that curve over the next 2 to 3 decades if we're going to make meaningful progress. Automation is part of that solution. No way to get around it. I actually think we should embrace it with the caveat that we have to protect the people who have jobs.
Do we have anybody, Ted, that signed up? Okay. Chris,
Thank
I
you.
thank you very much. Thank you for the time, and thank you for rescheduling the business. All right. We are going to move on to our committee reports. And so at this time, Commissioner Soloway will give you the Project Prioritization Committee report. Commissioner?
Yes, thank you. I'm pleased to report on the activities of the Project Prioritization Committee at the October 20th joint meeting. The committee reviewed one action item before the board for a vote today. The committee recommends approval of the fiscal year 2025 Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program projects. This program provides federal funding for community-based, non-traditional projects that enhance the cultural and environmental aspects of the nation's intermodal transportation system. In December 2024, the New Jersey Department of Transportation issued solicitations inviting eligible applicants to apply. NJTPA region received 45 applications, of which 36 met eligibility requirements. The NJTOT approved funding for 29 projects, totaling $29.3 million. All selected projects align with the TASA program goals, and central staff recommended approval of this action. At the October 20th meeting, central staff also shared an update on the Route 1 northbound bridge project in Middlesex County. The NJDOT prepared a financial plan for the project, which is required for those with a total cost between $100 million and $500 million. Central staff reviewed the plan. This project, which will rehabilitate the Morrison-Goodkind Bridge connecting New Brunswick and Edison, is estimated to cost $161 million. Construction is expected to begin next fall and be completed in 2030. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We have one action item from the Project Prioritization Committee on today's agenda, the approval of the FY 2025 Transportation Alternative Set-Aside Program. I understand Sussex County would like to move this item.
Sussex County moves the item.
I understand Union County would be kind enough to second.
Yes, Union second.
Any comments from the board? Any comments from the public?
Commissioner, we have one person signed up to speak in advance. If there's anybody in
I
the
have
room.
one person here in the room, and then we'll go to them. Sir? Oh, microphone.
How you doing? Trevor Howard, City of Newark. I got grants for the City of Newark, and I was trying to write a grant for this grant, the Transportation Alternatives Grant, for the past 2 years. And it's been unclear of some of the requirements for the program. I was trying to get an idea of the requirements. I was trying to figure out, of the 45 people that replied, 36 were selected. I was just trying to get an idea of why they weren't selected, because they may have had some of the problems that I've had with it, that weren't clear, as far as maybe like spending money on traffic signals, paving, bike lanes when paving for roads when there are bike lanes. Just to give you an idea of a project, it was Mulberry Lanes, which will connect the bike lane of a project we're doing. We just received money, for an earmark. We've just initiated that earmark on the New Jersey PAC, and we got a grant from the Transit Village Program for a greenway along Morris Canal, along Raymond Boulevard around here. And the project was a Mulberry Lanes bike lane. And there was just some discrepancies with the committee on what was required, what was the rules, and I was just trying to get an idea of what it was. I've tried to contact the DOT, but there was just no clarity. So now I just want to get some clarity on it. Maybe some of the people can provide clarity that's involved with the program.
Well, I saw Frimpong here, but it appears she stepped out of the meeting, and she has really been our lead on that. And I mean, I can't, without seeing an application and the program requirements, I can't speak to specific eligibility issues.
Can we set up a meeting?
We'd be happy to talk with you after the meeting and get more information and see what we can do. I mean, as we see the vast majority of the applications were eligible, and unfortunately there wasn't enough funding for every eligible application. But yeah, we'll see if we can get clarity for you on that.
Thank you. Ed, you had somebody?
Yes, Commissioner, joining us for remote public comment, Mr. Andy Weiss would like to speak on this action item. Mr. Weiss, you have 3 minutes.
Is he possibly muted then?
No, he's not muted. He should be ready to go. Mr. Weiss?
Okay. I have a motion. I have a second. Denise, would you please call the roll?
Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hudson County,
Yes.
Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex County,
Yes.
Monmouth County,
Yes.
Morris County,
Yes.
City of Newark,
Abstain?
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Somerset County,
Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County,
Yes.
Warren County,
Yes.
Governor's Authorities Unit,
Yes.
Department of Transportation,
Yes.
New Jersey Transit,
Yes.
Port Authority,
Yes.
Citizens Representative.
Yes.
The item passes.
Thank you, Denise. At this time, the Plan and Economic Development Committee, Commissioner Jason Sarnosky will give us the Planning and Economic Development Committee's report. Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to report on the activities of the Planning and Economic Development Committee's October 20th meeting. The meeting featured an update from central staff on the Complete Streets Technical Assistance Program. The NJTPA funds this program, and Sustainable Jersey and the Allen Voorhees Transportation Center at Rutgers University provide the assistance. Projects have included corridor assessments, bicycle network plans, and assistance with complete street policy development. As Dave mentioned, the NJTPA recently solicited projects for the next round, which is scheduled to begin in spring and summer 2026. At the League of Municipalities Conference in November, NJTPA staff will have a booth showcasing this and other municipal assistance programs, and also be participating in a session focused on these efforts. The committee has one action item before the board today. The committee recommends endorsement of the NJDOT updated roadway functional clarification system. The roadway functional clarification system groups roads by the type of service provided. The Federal Highway Administration requires state metropolitan planning organizations and counties to update their urban area boundaries and corresponding functional clarifications after each census. The NJTPA has worked with the NJDOT and RTAC members to review and respond to comments on proposed classifications. The next step in this process is for our board to endorse the final classifications before NJDOT submits them to the Federal Highway Administration. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we have one action item from the Plan and Economic Development Committee today, the endorsement of the NJDOT updated roadway functional classification system. I understand Morris County would like to move.
Yes, Morris County moves.
Thank you. And Jersey City, would you second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the board members on this item? Any comments from the public? Ed, any comments? Anybody signed up to speak on this item?
Not at this time on this item.
All right, Denise, would you please take the roll?
Yes. Bergen County,
Yes.
Essex County,
Yes.
Hudson County,
Yes.
Hunterdon County,
Yes.
Jersey City,
Yes.
Middlesex County,
Yes.
Monmouth County,
Yes.
Morris County,
Yes.
City of Newark,
Yes.
Ocean County,
Yes.
Passaic County,
Yes.
Somerset County,
Yes.
Sussex County,
Yes.
Union County,
Yes.
Warren County,
Yes.
Governor's Authorities Unit,
Yes.
Department of Transportation,
Yes.
New Jersey Transit,
Yes.
Port Authority,
Yes.
Citizens Representative.
Yes.
The item passes. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Next up, we have Commissioner Stephen Shaw, who's going to give us a report on the Freight Initiatives Committee. Commissioner?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm pleased to report on the October 20th Freight Initiatives Committee meeting. The meeting featured a comprehensive update on technology in freight. Matt Soul, founder and CEO of Parallel Systems, and Daniel Smith, principal at the Tioga Group, were speaking at the meeting, giving us presentations. The primary focus of the discussion was centered on the strategic and economic benefits of automation, specifically in reducing operational costs and improving logistical efficiency. Matt Soul presented Parallel Systems' vision for transforming long-haul logistics by reducing reliance on traditional trucking infrastructure. The main driver for automation is a significant reduction in labor costs, which is currently identified as the largest expense within the trucking industry. Parallel Systems is developing a battery-operated autonomous vehicle system that operates on rail lines without the need for a locomotive. Initial efforts on connecting ports directly to warehouses using railroads are designed to reduce costs and significantly reduce traffic in the major area around major port areas. A pilot program in Georgia has received Federal Railroad Administration approval and is providing an essential opportunity to verify and validate safety controls within a real-world operating environment. Daniel Smith of the Tioga Group highlighted the limitations and challenges associated with the full deployment of autonomous vehicles, delivery robots, and drones. Current automation technology is significantly limited in its range and speed and operates most effectively only within a predictable infrastructure. Rail-based freight automation is closer to large-scale deployment because it leverages a predictable, dedicated infrastructure and reduces labor costs. This remains a primary financial incentive across all automation segments. In reports from committee members, NJDOT reported that they have completed Phase 1 of their truck parking study and will provide freight management system input for all active NJDOT projects. That concludes my report, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Shaw. At this time, we're going to turn to the public portion of the meeting. As a reminder, we advise members of the public that we have a 3-minute time limit on comments. The light on the timer will go from green to yellow when there are 30 seconds remaining, and then red when 3 minutes is reached. We We ask that you keep your comments within this allotted time. We will start with members of the public who are here in the room and have signed up to speak. Is there anyone here that signed up to speak?
Nobody signed up in advance, Commissioner.
All right, anybody like to speak? All right, anybody signed up online, Ted?
Not at this time.
All right. We're going to move along here then. So before we wrap the meeting, as was said earlier, we have two commissioners that did not seek reelection and will be ending their tenure here on the board. So I'm going to turn it over to David Behrens at this time to make a presentation. David?
Going over here to the podium. Okay, I know unfortunately Chairman Kelly was unable to join us today, but we do have a plaque that we'll be sending him to thank him for his 9 years of service on the board. Mark, you can take that with you back down to Ocean County. We'd appreciate it. That plaque reads in part, Chairman Kelly oversaw increased federal investment in the region, guiding the adoption of a $16 billion transportation improvement program. Under his leadership, the board set a vision for the future of transportation through the adoption of connecting communities. He has been a vocal advocate for improving safety, addressing congestion, and maintaining transportation infrastructure in a state of good repair, particularly along Route 9 and Ocean County's many bridges. We thank Chairman Kelly for his service on the Board of Trustees. So after the meeting, Mark, we'll get you that plaque.
Thank you.
As was also mentioned, this is the final meeting for Commissioner Kowalski of Union County. So I would like to ask her to come up here for a moment and join me at the podium. Commissioner Kowalski, on behalf of the board and staff of the NJTPA, we again thank you for your dedicated service to people of our region during 5 years on the board, years prior to that as the alternate member, and we wish you well in your retirement from elected office. So please accept this token of appreciation. And I'll just say that it reads in part, Commissioner Kowalski was a strong supporter of the Street Smart New Jersey pedestrian safety program, participating in numerous campaigns in Union County. He has also advocated for improving rail service through her active participation in the Raritan Valley Rail Coalition and support for prioritized Hudson Tunnel project funding. Thank Commissioner Kowalski for her service on the NJTPA board.
I just want to say it's been my honor to serve with the NJTPA. I want to thank my colleagues, all of the staff, and all of our partners, and everyone who supports this organization. We know how vital it is to the economic and social life of this state, and I just appreciate the support and the work of all of you. So thank you.
Do any of the other board members have anything they'd like to say to Commissioner Kowalski?
Just thank you very much for your time and effort. It's been a pleasure meeting you and knowing you. And I know that you've put the people of Union County and the state of New Jersey forward in front every time that you've been here. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you. I echo those remarks.
Much appreciated.
All right. Well, thanks very much. And I'll turn the agenda back over to Commissioner Kenny.
Thank you very much. Just after the meeting, if we could, anybody who wants to, we're going to have a picture with Commissioner Kowalski and the board members up here. So if you want to be in it, please take the time to come here in the center and have your photo taken as a group. As Commissioner Sarnosky said, there's going to be a booth at the end, the League of Municipalities Convention. Please spread the word out to the towns in your counties and communities. Make sure that the elected officials know to stop by and see what the league has, what the NJTPA has to offer. The time and place of our next meeting is going to be January 12th, 2026 at 10:30 a.m. at the NJTPA office here in Newark. We wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday and a new year. And I ask for an adjournment at this time.
Motion adjourned.
Morris, second.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So if we could just do a photo over here with Commissioner Kowalski. Great Thanksgiving.
You too. Do you get, you going 26?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, Portland, Maine, huh?